Hi everyone! There are many roads you want to drive and drive on. They are smooth, neat, wide enough, which allows you to distract yourself a little, look around or just stop to look at the most interesting sights, incredible natural phenomena. But there is also a completely different category of roads. These are the ones that turned out to be incredibly dangerous, insidious and scary. At the same time, cars still continue to drive along them, since people simply have no other way. The road that opens our top is the mountain road in the Bolivian province of Yungas. Dozens of documentaries have been filmed about this road. If by the will of this fate you have the fate to drive along this winding serpentine, show maximum accuracy. The height difference here is 3,300 meters. That is, the gradient is impressive, and the road surface is far from ideal. The width of the road is ideally sufficient for the passage of two cars, but it turns, it narrows. There are no fences, so dozens of cars fall down every year. There are also buses among them, so the number of victims is in the hundreds. In some years up to 300 people die. The statistics are very scary. The situation is complicated by daily temperature changes. Almost every morning the road is covered with a dense veil of fog, and rains cause landslides and make an already dangerous road slippery, eroding clay and mud. It got the point that driving along the road in Yungas for extreme drivers became a kind of analog of climbing Mount Everest, a sea of adrenaline and well-deserved fame, or a tragic end as the luck would have it. If two trucks are driving towards each other, we can say that this is already an extreme situation, since rarely where the width of the roads exceeds 4 meters. Number 2 is Karnali Mountain Road. The Karnali Highway in Nepal is 250 kilometers long, with an average annual death toll of 50 people. The term highway is used here only because of the geographic importance of the mountain route. In fact, it differs little from mountain paths in quality, and the width here is clearly insufficient for the passage of two large cars. The road is completely strewn with boulders of various sizes, and the great length and the virtual absence of settlements make it impossible to clean the track. And this is a useless occupation, since all around and bare rock subject to erosion. There are no fences. Not surprisingly, passenger cars are only allowed here for less of the year. Locals prefer to travel only by off-road vehicles. Tourists are best to travel by motorcycle, and this will also be extreme with the adrenaline rush. Add to this frequent landslides and rock falls, and you will understand. The difference in elevation here is as large as in Bolivia, but the quality of the road surface is worse. In addition, there are a considerable number of steep passes, where the chances of falling into the abyss are rapidly increasing. Nevertheless, despite the danger and bad statistics, the traffic density of the highway is quite high. In the mountains, this is the only way of communication between villages that are tens of kilometers apart from each other. Number 3 is a highway to the active volcano Cotopaxi, the Cotopaxi Volcano Road. There are no landslides and rock falls, no deep cliffs, and yet the track is considered very dangerous. It goes to the foot of the volcano, which over the past 100 years was in a state of lethargic sleep, but in 2015 it woke up again. Before that it erupted more than 50 times in the period of 1733 to 1877. However, the main danger here is not lava flows at all. The climate here is that kind that heavy rains occur quite often, and due to the peculiarities of the local relief, they cause rapid floods, which claim dozens of lives every year. Number 4 is Chilean Highway Route National 5. The famous Pan-American Highway stretches over 30,000 kilometers along the entire western coast of North and South America. 3,365 kilometers of them fall on the Ruta National 5 highway, which runs in Chile. Most of this road can be called ideal, but this is one relatively small section which allows us to rank it among the most dangerous roads on the planet. We are talking about 300 kilometers between the cities of Iquique and Arica. The track here runs through the famous Chilean Atacama Desert, characterized by a truly desolate and monotonous, absolutely flat landscape. The density of traffic is low here, so each driver is forced to move along the perfectly straight road for 300 kilometers, stretching to the horizon without a single prominent object along the sides, only road and desert. Many drivers, due to monotony, lose their orientation and fly off the track at a speed of about 100 kilometers per hour. Hence, a huge number of accidents and high mortality. It is especially dangerous to travel here at night. Not only do the chances of losing orientation increase even more, the monotony of the landscape threatens to fall asleep while driving, and there is also a very strong wind blowing from the Pacific Ocean. It is able to turn over a loaded track with a high center of mass. Such cases are also recorded here quite regularly, especially during the trade wind season. Number 5 is Skipper's Canyon Road. Its length is small, only 25 kilometers, but its distinctive feature is its small width. Built over 140 years ago, it guarantees trouble in the event of the meeting of any two vehicles moving in opposite directions. The construction of the track was carried out by miners who needed to deliver the rock down, and they did it with the help of small cars. But the problem is that it is not possible to widen the road even now, when the road builders have state-of-the-art technology at their disposal. In order for two cars to separate, special pockets are provided here, but if the meeting took place far from them, then one of the vehicles will have to back up whole kilometers of the way. You can't even imagine how dangerous is it. And here is an interesting fact that the local auto insurance does not operate along the entire road, so the local rental companies refuse to issue cars for driving along the canyon. Number 6 is Gualian Mountain Tunnel. Any road running in the mountains is dangerous to one degree or another. The road is in the vicinity of Taihanstan Mountain is no exception. Its maximum width does not exceed 4 meters, but there are also narrow sections. The road runs through the Gualian Tunnel, a national landmark. The road was built by local residents. The length of the tunnel is 1,200 meters. Many of the builders died during blasting operations. Since there is no artificial lighting here, there are open terraces in some places, and yet fatal accidents occur every year. At night, even local daredevils do not risk moving through the tunnel by car. But since this is the only way to get to the Gualian village, there is traffic, albeit not busy. The biggest danger here is rockfall. You can hide from it in a tunnel, but there is no escape in one open sections of the road. Number 7 is Delton Highway. For 670 kilometers on your way, you will meet only 3 settlements, each of which will be no more than 30 people. In Coldfoot is 10 inhabitants, in Wisman 22, in Dead Horse is 25. Slightly more than 25% of the route is asphalted, 175 kilometers. The rest of the areas are either gravel or soil. The route was opened in 1974, and at the time it was used exclusively for cargo transportation to the location of the Trans-Alaska Oil Pipeline. And only 20 years later it acquired the status of a general-purpose road. But it is unlikely that anyone would think of simply driving along this road. After all, there is simply nowhere to go on it, unless your relatives work on the oil pipeline. The Americans consider this road the most dangerous, strongly recommending that you stock up on everything you need to survive until help arrives in the event of unforeseen car breakdown, because there is a high chance that the help will make us wait for a very, very long time. Number 8 is Fairy Meadows Road. The 8th place in rating of the most unfriendly roads of the planet is occupied by the highway passing through the territory of the Pakistani region of Gilgit-Baltistan, located at the junction of Pakistan and China, Afghanistan and India. The dangerous section of the road is located at the altitude of 3,300 meters above the sea level. The scenery here is stunning, but the lack of hard surface and fencing for 16 kilometers make this road extremely dangerous. Local residents move here either on foot or in a two-wheeled vehicle. Nobody risks using a passenger car. The road leads to the mountain village of Tato. There is no other way to get there. It was built over 100 years ago, and since then no restoration work has been carried out. Its surface is characterized by instability. Cases of buses and cars falling into the gorge are recorded, although relatively rarely, simply due to the unpopularity of the road. Local authorities do not allow vehicles that are not equipped with a four-wheel drive to drive on the hazardous section of Fairy Meadows Road. Number 9 is Luxor alhurgada Highway. This is a completely ordinary Egyptian highway connecting two resort cities. It runs on a flat terrain, so you are not in danger of a rockfall or a flood or a landslide, and the width of the roadway is sufficient for the passage of 4 nearby cars. It is made one of the most dangerous roads in the world by the local bandits who rob tourists. There are also frequent cases of kidnapping for ransom. The authorities cannot cope with this, so the movement of tourist groups is always accompanied with the military. Due to the increased number of intruders' attacks, the track becomes deserted at night, as does the landscape around it. Even the locals do not dare to travel here, and if such a need arises, no one turns on the headlights. Their markings are clearly visible even in the light of the moon. However, nocturnal head-on collisions are not uncommon here, and most end in deaths. Number 10 is Pastelia. The road in the Old World closes the rating. The Stelvio Pass is the second largest, located in the Italian Alps, and has an asphalt surface. The road was built at the end of the 19th century and has never been repaired since then. The track itself is unremarkable, but for some unknown reason the number of accidents here is abnormally high. Perhaps the deteriorating condition of the roadway affects. There are also non-fenced areas, but according to local authorities, the most common cause of accidents is driver carelessness. Thank you for watching. Leave your likes and comments under the video. Your opinion is very important for me.